Hi, everyone.
Hi, everyone.
Buffalo fans, how are you?
Buffalo Brothers back in at it.
Back in action. That's right.
We're close to a football season.
We are ready too. Let me tell you,
We are ready.
we are
We've
very
been
ready.
ready.
Oh my
I
God.
know we haven't been on in a while, and there's been an awful lot that went on, including the draft,
The draft.
the free agency before and after the draft,
Sure.
all kinds of other stuff. But we had
Stuff.
OTAs and
OTAs.
ABCs and anything else you could talk about. But we're a week away or less
Well, the
from
rookies are going to report here, and then
rookies are already reported.
the training camp.
Training
This week,
camp
I think.
opens in St. John Fisher during the week. I think Tuesday, actually.
Okay, sounds great. So, what are we going to talk about today? Because I know we missed a lot. Are we doing a catch-up video? What are we talking about today?
Well, ketchup or mustard doesn't matter, but I thought we would talk about new players.
The new players or specifically rookies? I don't remember.
Well, we were talking about rookies. You're right, not just new players.
Okay.
These are rookies that we drafted
Right.
and undrafted free agents that either were signed or got an invite.
And undrafted free. Very nice. Okay.
So
Okay.
these are guys that are going into camp and what we think we should see from them. If we think they're going to be able to make the team, and if we think they're going to be able to team, then what is it they need to show us during training camp?
Okay. Now, before I just want to, when we talk about making a team, I think we're talking about making the 53 man.
Making a 53 man
Because then, if you're on the practice squad, you're kind of still you are with the team, but we're kind of thinking more 53 man roster and the practice squad are separate.
Yeah, and feel free, John, if you think a guy might make the 53 man roster, say so, no problem. But we're really trying to see how many of these guys, and there are a lot of them. There's 10 free agents alone, and I can't tell you how many undrafted free agents. I don't think I have the entire list, but I've got about 12 or 15 of them right here.
Okay.
So there's a lot of people coming into camp to fill up that 90 man roster or 91 man roster. And can some of them possibly make our team? Actually, I think so.
Well, oh, sure.
Okay.
Of course.
Not just the rookies, not the drafted, but undrafted.
Oh, you think some undrafted free agents can make the 53 man roster?
At least one.
Okay, great. Sounds good.
All right. So how about we talk about
You're like giving out you're tempting them to stick around for later.
Please stick around. Stick around for later, before,
we'll
now.
in on who that is. Later. Yeah.
We're going to talk about the rookies first, the ones that we drafted.
Right.
The Bills drafted 10 guys. They had 2 in the second round, 1 in the third, 2 in the fourth, 2 in the fifth, 2 in the sixth, and a 7th round pick.
Great. Okay.
And I'm going to go a little bit backwards here, and I'm going to go to number 7, the 221st pick in the draft.
Okay.
Man's name was Travis Clayton.
Travis Clayton.
He's an offensive tackle. He's the international player, international pathways player.
Oh, they drafted him?
And I don't think he's got a chance in this side of where.
We're making it 53 minutes. Right. Okay.
So I wish him the best of luck, and I hope he has a great camp and shows us something. I'm not expecting it. I'm not expecting him to get that much of an opportunity. I think the Bills did it for they were able to get another draft pick or show their support for the league and these international players. And thank you for doing that, but I don't think it's going to help the Bills at all.
I think he'll be on the practice squad.
You think so? Okay.
But he doesn't count against it. He's a free body. So
free body, so he might stay there. Yeah, like the guy that was the rugby player.
It's exactly the same thing.
All right. Yeah. In the 6th round, they had 2 players. At number 204, they picked Tylen Grable. And they're listing him as an offensive tackle. And let's be honest with you, he was a wrestler. The guy never played football. He was a wrestler in college. He was a wrestler for the WWE or WWF, whatever, World Wrestling, whatever. The man is not a football player. But they drafted him because he was a wrestler and he's got good hands and he can do this and that. And thank you, Mr. Grable. And we'll see you in the stands watching. You get your popcorn and join us for.
Do you think even practice squad or probably not?
Well, how many people can you put on a practice squad? Are you maybe? I mean, but is that what you're going to use up a guy?
14. So it's
a guy that's a wrestler. Well, he better show something in camp.
Yeah. No, I understand. Okay.
So that goes to bottom 3 players. Now they got two players in the
Did we
50.
talk about Daquan and Hardy?
No, I'm so sorry. Thank you. Got 219, Daquan Hardy, cornerback. And I think that he has a possibility of at least getting on the practice squad. This is a short um, cornerback, that
Smallish.
smallish, and then I've heard comparisons to the player that could maybe back up a Tyron Johnson
Okay.
in the slot. But honestly, his best attribute, it seems to be returning the ball.
Okay.
Maybe a punt returner. He's short. He's got some speed. Whether or not they're going to put on a guy on the 53-man roster just for that at this point, I don't know.
Probably not. Yeah.
So I'm saying he's got always have a cornerback is not a bad thing
No.
on your.
He's undersized. Didn't we
Yes.
discover he was 170 something?
I don't remember his size. I
he
remember
was
he was
on
short,
the
not
short side,
very, yeah,
and not very many.
not
Like
didn't weigh
Taron
very
John,
much.
he was like 20 pounds lighter than Taron
Mhm.
Johnson. So that's a long way to go. Like that's tough.
Now that takes care of 1, 2, 3, 4 players. Now I've got 6 more players that were drafted by the Bills,
Okay.
and I'm going to go back to the top now
Okay.
because I think all 6 of these players are going to make
So
the 53-man
we've
roster.
done the 6th and 7th round players.
Mhm. So now we're going to go
2 through 5. Okay.
1 through 5. In the first round, we didn't make a pick. We had a first round pick, but Bean was able to negotiate that pick twice and go down a total of 5 spots between 2 trades and get the first pick in the second round. And that's when they took Keon Coleman. So he's our first pick. He very likely would have been our first round pick, but Bean figured out a way to turn that first round pick into a second and a third. And that second was the very first pick in the second round. So good for you, Bean. I think you did a great job doing that.
The only thing I would say
Mhm.
is in the time period in the picks that we gave up and dropped down, 2 wide receivers were taken.
Yes.
If those guys one of those guys turns into a really
Xavier Worthy for Kansas City and A.D. Mitchell for Carolina.
no. Well, maybe Carolina was a pick, but I'm thinking of the guy Carolina picked that Leggett.
Oh, I'm sorry, Xavier Leggett.
Xavier Leggett.
That's it. You're right. I
So-
had the wrong name. Xavier Worthy and Xavier Leggett. Right.
I know that whether the Bills haven't really gone after speed very often. So I could understand maybe they would look past Worthy. Like Kansas City seems to value speed a bit more than the Bills do. And that's fine. That's a philosophy. But we had really heard some very interesting things about Leggett.
Mhm.
So had they picked him, so look, if either of those guys turn into a superstar, that's just on Bean. That's on him.
Mhm.
You know, the trading back, getting a 3rd round pick is meaningless if they passed up a superstar,
That's true.
especially in the wide receiver room
Yeah.
where they have a depth of talent.
Look,
Not deep talent.
what draft?
talent.
What draft is this for? Being 6th, 7th, 8th, whatever it is. This could be his come to Jesus draft.
I think his first draft was the draft they drafted Illinois.
That was
So
17.
So 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24.
That's
Eight.
eight. That was his 8th draft. This could be the time where he's got to put up or shut up. And if they find out that these other guys,
It's on him. Like
Mhm. It's on him. This
he'll
is
have
him.
to make those evaluations to make that call. And if he valued a 3rd round pick above getting a real playmaker, and I that's on that's on him. If he didn't recognize the guy's talent, that's also on him.
Yeah, I mean, let's face it. If he went to the coaches, or if he went to Josh Allen and said, "Who do you want me to pick?" or if he went to the coaches and said, "Who do you want us to pick?" and he took their direction, he's still the one that's accountable. Well, I'm not saying he did, but he's still the one that's accountable.
If
he made the pick,
if he's making picks based on who the players want,
Mhm.
he doesn't belong in that position.
and that's how it'll come out. So
Yeah.
we'll see. I personally, I really like the pick of Keon Coleman,
Yeah, great.
and I think he's going to be better than we expected. And we could talk about it at a later date. But I'm high on Keon Coleman.
Okay.
Also in the second round at number 60, the Keon Coleman pick was number 33. But in the second round, number 60, they took a safety, Cole Bishop. He's a kid that played both free safety and strong safety in college. On the Bills, he's listed as free safety. And I can't remember when they didn't keep their second round pick on the team.
Sure.
So I think he's making the team.
Yeah, sure.
Do we have any other issues at at safety, either position?
Sure.
I think it's a real question mark now.
Yeah.
He may be a good kid and he may become a great player, but in the rookie season, we'll see. We'll see what we see in training camp.
Well, I think what you were we're doing the whole, well, they earn a jersey and be on the 53-man roster.
Mhm.
Whether or not he's starting game one season, I don't think that we're really doing that so much as just they're gonna earn a jersey.
Yeah, and I do think he's going to be a player that contributes well during the season, but I don't think he's going to be our week one starter. I'll be surprised for him to be our week one starter. He's going to have to come out and flash. Did I say week one starter?
Like stada.
Starter. Hey, it's going to be our starter over here. Hey, over here. He's going to be our starter if he flashes in training camp and some preseason games. He breaks up some passes, maybe he gets an interception, something like that. We'll see. But he also, I understand his real strength is being able to come down straight on and make a tackle. And hopefully even though they say he can play both positions, you know what they say, when a guy can do everything, he can't do nothing.
Yeah.
So we'll see.
Well, he has to be good enough that with his play, with his projected play on the field, including some mistakes, and the potential that he brings, makes them say, we got to start him day one because before the season's over, he's our guy for life. So if that's not where he's at, they won't start him. They didn't start AJ Panessa. There's a whole bunch of guys that they didn't start Elon. There's a whole bunch of guys that they brought in for the draft that didn't start day one. So
I personally think that Keon Coleman is going to start on day one. I think that Cole Bishop is going to become a strong contributor during the season.
Well, wide receivers, they tend to dress five, and over the course of the game, all five get some plays. Well, they may not all get targets, but they all get plays.
Yeah.
In the past, Poyer and Hyde sometimes played 97% of snaps. So I mean, there wasn't a lot left over. They took them all 100%, 99%. So there's only a play here and there. So we just don't know what that looks like, and we don't know if he's starting or if he's
I'd love to
coming
see
off the bench on
the
packages.
Bills. I'd love to see the Bills come out and shock the Cardinals with a pass to Keon Coleman, and he runs 25 yards and makes a big play and gets off to a great career. But we'll see what they do. All right, so then they got one thing. They found a way to get a third round pick. They got one at number 95. This is the pick that Bean was complaining about the entire draft season because he was sure he was going to get a compensatory pick for third round, and he got one for fourth round. Remember that? And he was not going to stand for it. He found a way to get a third round pick. And so this is Bean's pick. He wanted this pick so bad, he was willing to risk his first pick in order to pick up a third round pick.
Yeah, look, that's the kind
Let's
of
face
thing.
it.
If it doesn't work out, it's the kind of thing that should cost you your job.
Maybe he wanted Xavier Worthy. Maybe he wanted Xavier Legette. But he was willing to settle for Keon Coleman because it was getting him a third round pick. Now, I don't know that that's true, and I like Keon Coleman.
Well,
But this could be the case that this is where Bean's hat gets hung on. This third round pick.
I tell you what, you mentioned like not all of our we have a lot of conversations about the Bills, and the vast majority of them do not get recorded. But when you said this, Keon Coleman was good enough, or how did you put it? That maybe he wanted those other guys, but he settled for Keon Coleman. We've kind of had an ongoing conversation about Bean fills up this roster with guys who are not great, but good enough.
Mm-hmm.
And that's been the reason we haven't been able to progress in the playoffs. That we got a number of guys who are not great.
They're good players.
They're good enough. Good enough. And then with Josh Allen's talent, we'll put him over the edge. With maybe we go get a splash player on defense like a Miller, and then he'll put him over the edge. And it just hasn't worked out for them. But Hayden Poyer, we talked many times, the last couple of years, they had clearly lost a step. And I actually thought that the last year and a half, last 2 years, well, that they played together. So the last 3 years, they were a detriment, that they weren't good enough. But they have a tendency to find a bunch of guys who are just good enough.
Yeah, now they talk about, look, the Bills lost Poyer, the Bills lost Hyde, the Bills lost Trey White. Those poor guys were not good enough. So to say, oh, they lost them, so that makes them weak. No, they lost them. It's not going to hurt them any worse because I don't think they were good enough anymore.
Yeah, where we have, we and I have had some, I don't know what disagreements, but just watching the Bills, they drafted Bernard, and for how well he played last year, they got almost no snaps out of him the year before. And when he wasn't there, he didn't look that good. Before last year, they drafted Dorian Williams, and there are times that we really liked Dorian Williams on the field, liked what he looked like. But they didn't get a lot of good snaps out of him. And at the end of the season and in the playoffs, they went and got a guy who was sitting on his couch actually on his way to take his family to vacation in the Keys rather than play their drafted player. I've had some questions. Is the defense so complicated that you have to have experience you have to understand it at a very high level in order to be able to play well in it?
Mm-hmm.
And if so, that might be a coaching issue.
Mm-hmm.
That might, because it's not like this defense has ever been the number one defense in the league. It's been a defense in the league. There have been times when it's been top five, and we've had that conversation. When they've had top five defense, it's because they've absolutely destroyed weak teams.
Yeah.
At least statistically, they look good over the course of the season, but they just look phenomenal against very weak teams. And then they come up against playoff teams and they can't stop.
We got a lot of players to go on, and I haven't made.
I haven't a tangent.
I haven't mentioned the third rounder yet. His name is Dwayne Carter.
Right.
He's a defensive tackle.
Duke.
That's who right from Duke. He's supposed to be a good one. I think we're going to see him make the 53-man roster as a backup and a rotational piece. I think eventually we'll see him as a starter down the road, but I think we'll see him make contributions this year and will not start in the first game.
Yeah, we're talking about a day 2 pick, so a third round pick.
Mm-hmm.
I would suggest to you that last 2 years they had those two linebackers, Bernard and then Williams. The fact that they didn't contribute more in the rookie season is something I would hold against me. That they weren't able to come in and pick up the system and play more in the rookie season. I would say pick the wrong guy. And if not that, because Bernard seems to be playing really well last year, so how could it be a bad pick? Fine, then maybe the defense is too complicated. I don't know, but third round picks not only should make the team, they should make contribution.
Yes, absolutely. And I think he will. I think that's what we're going to see from him. Then we have 2 fourth-round picks. Number 128, Ray Davis, a running back.
Okay.
Now he's 5'10". And I think he's 5'10". Excuse me, I could be wrong on that, but he's not a tall.
Not tall, big fella.
Tall, big fella. Right. And people are thinking that perhaps he's going to eventually be the replacement for James Cook, and that Cook is not going to get re-signed at the end of his rookie contract, and this will be our running back. And then they'll draft somebody else. So that could be a strategy the Bills are doing. Get a guy use up his tread during his first 4 years and then move on from him. In the meantime, get a guy that's ready to take over that spot. So I think we'll see some contributions from Ray Davis. He's certainly more production, especially in the touchdown area, which we did not see. James Cook, he only got like 2 touchdowns last year.
Yeah, James Cook didn't get very many carries in short distances.
Mm-hmm.
So his 2 touchdowns were both from outside the 10, I think. So, okay. Whether or not Ray Davis has any power and at the NFL level, I have no idea. Whether or not he'll be a short down back for them, or if they have to use Allen again, or if they just have to pass. I don't know. They went out last year. They got Murray, who played really well for them, but kind of he was older. He faded down the stretch. And was it Harris,
Mm-hmm.
who unfortunately got injured? And then they gave him injury settlement, and he was out of the team.
Quite frankly, what I'm interested in is if Bean was not able to negotiate that 3rd round pick where he got Dwayne Carter, what would he have done for the 4th round pick? Would he still been looking for a defensive tackle? Would he have gone ahead and picked a running back? I'm thinking he only picked a running back because he got his defensive tackle already under his belt.
Well, anything's possible.
We don't know. I don't know. That's
Yeah.
just my speculation.
That seems to indicate that he valued defensive tackle so high that it was going to be his next pick, no matter where it was.
That's what I'm thinking.
And those people who have been general managers that are willing to talk about tend to say you have to go where the draft is and not predetermine what you're going to pick. So if this guy was long gone, if they didn't pick him in the 3rd round, he might still have been available in the 4th. But if not, if he was long gone, would they have just picked a defensive tackle because that's what they have to have? And if that's what he's doing, it would explain some of his picks. Cody Ford, for example. So if that's what he's doing, I think he's been really lucky to be in that position for as long as he has.
Well, I think this
That throws out all that scouting you do to determine people's grades and ranks and values. Just throw them all out. You just want to get a defensive tackle, and you might as well pick the one that Sports Illustrated had right next.
Yeah. I'm saying that Ray Davis makes the 53-man roster. We really don't have another running back on this team at this point. We've got some undrafted free agents we'll talk about, but he's at this point he's the complement to James Cook, and I think he's making the 53. Also in the fourth round at number 141, they picked Cedric Van Pran Ranger. And he's a center.
Mm-hmm.
Now, we just moved a guy over to center.
Mm-hmm.
Moved our left guard over to tackle, Connor McGovern. And then we went ahead and drafted a center. So is McGovern there as a test to see, even though he's happy to be there, he considers himself a center? Are they again going to use Van Pranger as move him in as a backup rotational guy on the offensive line? I don't know. Or is Van Pranger going to be there as a backup center?
Yeah, I don't know of any offense that rotates their offensive line.
Mm-hmm.
Like, have you seen any offense do that?
I haven't.
Yeah, so I wouldn't expect that they would do that. No.
Now I'm thinking he could be a make the 53-man roster and then an undressed member.
Oh, you mean on game day?
Game day.
Well, that's fine. Well,
because what are you going to do with him? Unless he's there just on the backup center.
Well, you have to go into the game with somebody else that can snap the ball. And right now, I've never heard of Osiris Torrance ever snapping the ball. I don't think either defensive tackle has ever snapped the ball. Edwards looks to be the other guy that goes in. I don't know if he's ever snapped the ball.
Well, I know
you have to have one. Somebody else.
We got a long snapper, Reed Ferguson. He can snap a ball, but can he play center? Is he too small for that?
Yeah, I think he's pretty small. Plus, after 50, isn't he pushing 18 years? So I think his days where he might be a backup. I mean, it would be truly an emergency.
Is it possible that Van Granger could be taken over for Reed Ferguson and become the long snapper until there's a spot for him to become center. I don't know. I don't know what the
Yeah,
I don't know why they draft him. I'm not sure what
you
his
got some wild theories going on. Like I don't know
yeah,
if he's
wild
ever done that.
theories.
Yeah, I don't know. I think it's as long as Ferguson is not retiring, I think that's their guy.
I just don't know why the pick in the fourth round. They made this pick, and what are their plans? What are they going to do with him? And I'm going to be interested to see how they use him in the preseason games if he's going to be the center during the preseason, or if they're going to try utilize him as a backup guard and have him on the team as a backup guard, a backup center, and have him there in case there's injuries.
Well, that's an interesting thought because we know that they dress 8 offensive line at least.
Mm-hmm.
And then last year they had 2 guys who were healthy scratches,
Mm-hmm.
offensive lineman, a tackle and an interior guy. So 8 gives you your 5 starters and 3 dressed backups.
Mm-hmm.
So he could easily slip into one of those dressed backup positions, and then one of them would be a backup interior, one would be a backup uh, uh, tackle. So there's room there.
Yeah.
There's based on what they did last year. There's room there. So
I think it's going to be in the preseason where they watch him and make the decision. Is he going to be dressed and be our backup center, or is he going to be a non-dressed player on the day of the game because they got somebody else that can be
right, that's one of the problems that we have with this is that looking at all the offensive linemen they have in camp, I can't tell you which ones
yeah.
have also snapped at football.
All right, so now we got 2 fifth-round picks. I like them both, John. Number 160, Edifuan Ulafoshio,
Okay.
linebacker.
Okay,
I like him.
good for you.
We had to go to somebody off the couch last year in the playoffs because we didn't have enough linebackers. And I think the kid makes the team, even in the fifth round. I think he makes the team.
That might be a really good testament to how weak the team really is.
Well, we'll see.
You know, I mean that could be a real indication that they went into last year.
Who's the kid I liked in linebacker?
Balen Spector.
Balen Spector. This could be his replacement.
Yeah, yeah. I don't know if this guy does special teams. If he does, that would probably really help his case. It could also be an indication they're not so high on Dorian Williams. Although he's a lower draft pick than Dorian, that could be if they bring somebody in to compete with him for one of those backup roles.
And then the last guy on the fifth round player, number 168, Javon Solomon, the defensive end or edge rusher or linebacker or whatever you want to call him. Okay. I think he's making the team.
Well, he almost had he may not, but right now
I have him making the team because we don't have enough other people.
We have a difficult time figuring out who they're going to dress 4 to 5 defensive ends every game. Like they typically have 9 dressed defensive linemen, 4 nose tackles, 1 tack, 3 tack, and then they've got 5 defensive end. And if he doesn't get a jersey, if he doesn't make the 53-man roster, we're going to end up with somebody else that we don't know. You know, Shaq Lawson's long gone now, so they didn't bring back Jerry Hughes. There's going to be somebody on this roster who has not had a jersey, but who hasn't made this team before.
Well, that shows for me the 10 draft picks. I got 4 that I believe are either going to start or make considerable contributions on the team. That's Keon Coleman, Will Bishop, Dwayne Carter, and Ray Davis. And then I have 1, 2, 3, Cedric Van Granger at center, Edifuan Ulafoshio at linebacker, Javon Solomon, defensive end. I say they make the team and they're being developed for future.
Well, but you're not saying they're being developed on the practice
court. No, I think they're making the team.
But you did say something there that you changed it from making the team to starting or
Yes, I think
so
some are really
why
gonna be
don't
contributors
why don't
and
you
some
tell
are
us
not.
who the starters are going to be and who the major contributors are going to be?
Keon Coleman is the starter.
So at the first day, first game, first snap, Keon Coleman is out there as a wide receiver.
That's what I think.
Well, they're gonna have three of them out there. So okay, good.
And
Could be,
if he
sure,
doesn't start, then he's in the first game anyway.
we'll play, sure. As
And
long as he's
then
healthy.
Keon Coleman, Dwayne Carter, and Ray Davis. Oh, you know what? I think Ray Davis we'll see in the first week as well. Maybe not starting because you got James Cook out there.
Well, all you have to do is pick starters or significant
All right,
contributors.
I'm
So,
picking Keon Coleman as a starter,
right,
then Cole Bishop, Dwayne Carter, and Ray Davis as
significant contributors.
significant.
Do you want to rank them?
Well, Keon Coleman is the only
Well,
star.
sure. So I'm thinking of ranking the significant contributors.
Then significant, yes, Ray Davis as a running back would be number one.
Okay. Okay.
I think Cole Bishop as safety would be number two, and Dwayne Carter as defensive tackle would be number three.
You are so wrong.
Okay.
My God.
Okay.
How you did not think that through clearly. Let me help you.
All right.
Dwayne Carter, if he gets a jersey and is on the 47 or the 47 guys that gets a jersey,
Mm-hmm.
he's going to play 20 snaps
Well, because he's going to
because of the
rotate.
rotation. If they only have four defensive tackles, he's got to play snaps. He's got to.
Well, he would if he was this number one backup.
I think that's what. Okay, I said. Let me work. So look, this could be a whole video in itself. But look, they have one technique. That's the big fella. What's his name? The run stopper. Daquan Jones. He's going to play about 55% of the snaps because he's going to play first down and all your second and short. Second downs as long as it's not an obvious passing down. When you take him out because it's a passing down, you then have three techniques in there. So that could be that's going to be Oliver, and then somebody else. Now that could be Dwayne. What's the guy's name? Dwayne Carter, or the other fellow. Over the course of a game, there's so many snaps for those three fellas. Those two spots, like the number of times they use 2-3 technique guys is so high that Oliver can't do them all. And there's even going to be times when Carter and we'll say if Carter's the third string guy will be next to each other. So
well, I got a guy named Johnson. I forgot his first name, and a guy named LaShawn Williams or Deshaun Williams.
Are these undrafted free agents?
No, these are people I say that they're starting, and they are going to be, or they're going to be on the 53-man roster and be ahead of this kid. And they were free agents that we brought in.
Hold on.
But that's a whole nother conversation.
No, it's not. You said so because it has to do with Dwayne Carter. Are you saying that they're going to dress 5 defensive tackles then?
Yes.
Okay, so they're going to. You're expecting them to change. They've done it one way for 7
Well,
years.
they may go to 4, if that's what you're asking.
Well, then Dwayne Carter would be in front of one of them, or he wouldn't have a jersey.
What? Why?
You said he's going to contribute. If he's going to contribute, he's going to
be. I said he's going to be a major contributor this year.
Well, then he has to be
But
on the
maybe
field.
not in the first game.
Well, it's okay.
Okay. So there's going to be injuries and things that happen. We're going to see him making major contributions now.
Injury.
Yes.
Injury. I understand there's going to be injuries. I get that.
And I think he's going to be a major contributor.
Contributor. I get it now.
He's a rookie.
He's going to be a major contributor because they're not going to have anybody else to play.
There you go.
That is a total cop out, but that's fine.
Okay.
Well, I mean, like that. You're talking about like there's nobody left. Instead of pulling a guy off a couch, we're going to play him. So if that's what you're down to,
how long have you gone on this here? Are we going to talk undrafted free agents, or do we want to?
do it?
Okay, well, let's talk the undrafted free agents because
I think that you. I don't like.
I think John came up
with
with some significant questions, and we'll make great shows and things we can talk about. All of you guys think about them too. Get ready with your comments. But undrafted free agents,
Yes.
in no particular order.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, that's okay. Yeah. There's so many of
Frank
them.
Gore Jr., running back, Southern Mississippi, 5'10", 201 pounds.
Frank Gore.
I think he's going on the practice squad.
Okay. Fantastic.
Xavier Johnson Jr., wide receiver out of Ohio State. He converted from running back, not this year, but he converted from running back a year or two ago in college. He's 6'1" and weighs 210 pounds. I don't know if he's speedy. I don't know anything like that. I know he came from Ohio State. It's a good school. I don't know.
And his name's Xavier, so it can't be bad.
Can't be bad. It
Can't
could
be
be might be a guy on the practice squad. Jack Browning, punter, San Diego State. 5'11", 190 pounds. He also was a Ray Guy finalist. And those of you that are too young to remember, Ray Guy was a punter for the Oakland Raiders. And he set the bar for all Raiders, all punters since that time in the 70s. He's the man. And not only do I have Jack Browning as a punter, I think he makes a 53-man roster.
I think he's the punter.
I think Martin is gone.
Okay.
I think this guy is our punter. Why? Not only is he from the same school as the punt god, he's rated better than punt god, and he's a place kicker too. What does that do? It gives you the ability to test different guys in the kickoff.
Okay.
So I think he's the guy.
FYI, the punt guy also a place kicker. Was.
That's how they like him. Lawrence Keys, wide receiver from Tulane, 5'11", 170 pounds. Taron Johnson is 5'11", 192 pounds. So what do we need a 170-pound wide receiver for? He's got to, like, if it's a strong win in Buffalo, he's going to blow over. I'm sorry. I hope you wish you the best of luck. I don't see it.
So not even practice squad. You're just
I don't see it. Ken H. Lovely, cornerback, Western Michigan.
What a great name. Lovely.
5'10", 160 pounds. 176 pounds for a cornerback. That's 5'10". Another short cornerback.
176 pounds.
Yeah.
And I wonder if he also plays special teams. Because that's pretty.
I hope he does something.
Cornerbacks are a little diminutive, but that's really liked.
So these are things to watch for. Watch for Ken, and it said Ken-H Lovely. I don't understand the name, but maybe we'll get an interview. It'd be interesting to see what he says.
Maybe Buffalo Bills will put something.
I hope so. I wish him the best. Branson Dean, Deen, defensive lineman from the Miami Hurricane, 6'2", 280 pounds. Miami Hurricane, good school, defensive lineman.
Okay. So we don't. What was his weight?
280 pounds.
So he's got to be an end of some kind.
Yeah. Okay. Mike Edwards, offensive tackle from the college Campbell, like Campbell Soup. Campbell, never heard of it.
Oh yeah, give him his stats.
6'7", 355 pounds. I want to see this guy. I want to see him play. But
that's a big boy.
That's an offensive tackle. He doesn't. I don't know. Maybe he can just move people. Maybe in the running game.
Yeah,
he's huge. Yeah. Anybody that's 6'7" and weighs 355 pounds. I'm glad they got him. I don't know if it's a signing team or an invitation, but I can't wait to see him. Welcome, Mike Edwards, and bring your school, Campbell.
That's right.
He even won accolades, and I think he even won. He was high up in scholastic testing and all that. So smart kid. Yeah.
Okay. Excellent.
David Ogwago. I'm sorry, David Ogwago.
Okay.
And he's an edge from Houston. 6'4", 250 pounds.
David, you get a jersey and we will learn how to say your name.
Yeah, absolutely. And I'm sorry, I don't know how to say it yet. I would love to learn it.
But he's an edge rusher?
He's an edge from 6'4", so
big fella.
He's got some height and 250 pounds, heavy enough to still have speed.
Well, you should have a lot of speed at 250 pounds. You might blow over in the wind too. Maybe Von Miller could show him something.
And then we got Sheridan Jones,
Tall.
cornerback from Clemson. Good school.
Antonio Freeman was only he was a end out of Syracuse, and he was considered light at 270, 277. This guy's 250. That's light. I'm sorry, go ahead.
All right. Sheridan Jones, cornerback, Clemson, 6 foot, 180 pounds, and he specializes in outside press coverage.
Well, a cornerback outside. Okay, okay.
Which I think is great.
Sure.
Then they got a
Who knows? We got guys like nobody expected Christian Bedford to become a starter. Who knows? Maybe
got somebody else from Troy.
Oh, we love Troy.
And I love this name. It's a quarterback. Quarterback.
Like a passing quarterback?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Gunner.
Well, yeah,
Isn't that a great
Gunner,
name for a passing quarterback?
Yeah.
Gunner Watson, quarterback, Troy, 6'3", 210 pounds. And in his senior year, he threw for 35 touchdowns and 6 interceptions.
Next to Allen, he's going to look like just a little bit shorter and like a stick.
And how many games did they play in the college year? He got 3,549 yards. That is a lot.
12, it seemed like
that is a lot of yards.
Games, maybe 11.
30. Now, maybe, I don't know. He didn't get drafted. So, but it's a great name.
But he's got a great name.
Got a great name.
The all-name team.
And he sure can throw the ball. And he sure.
That could be a fellow that they stuff on the practice squad.
Mm-hmm.
Especially if they like him.
Absolutely.
If he's picking up stuff at the drawing board fast, then maybe they'll.
Here comes another linebacker, Stephen Hillis, linebacker from South Dakota, 6'1" and 230 pounds. Now, I think that's light for a linebacker.
Well, we go with light linebacker.
That sounds like a safety to me.
We go with
230
big
pounds.
Safeties and put them in linebacker. That is kind of this team's thing.
Al-Fayyim Walcott. Al-Fayyim, Al-Fayyim. Al-Fayyim.
Now, is he from Arkansas?
Walcott.
Is that right?
South Arkansas, 6'2", 210 pounds. He's a safety.
All right. But we need him. We need safeties.
And Nelson Paul. Sounds like one of those kids that are on YouTube from the boxers. Nelson Paul.
Or maybe
defensive end from SMU.
Defensive end from SMU.
Okay. 6'2", 237 pounds.
6'2", 237 pounds.
That sounds like a linebacker.
What was his position? Defensive end.
Defensive end. Sounds like a linebacker.
Yeah.
So maybe he's more of an edge rusher.
Might be edge rusher. Might be somebody that they'll move into an outside, like a outside linebacker role. If he's agile, maybe he could do the pass defense thing. Drop back.
Out of all these guys, I really think we're going to see Frank Gore Jr. on the practice squad. And I do believe that we're going to see Jack Browning as our punter. And
so not the practice squad, even just
no, I think he's going to be our punter. And I can't wait to see a 6'7", 355-pound offensive tackle. And I want to see a quarterback named Gunner. And everybody else that got invited or got signed, God bless you. We wish you the best.
Yeah.
And we're going to be rooting for you.
Is there? I thought you had a second page.
No.
Oh, okay.
But there were more. And I like, how many we.
Well, they got to fill up 90 man. So we had heard, and it's kind of out there that the Bills were using Browning to hold for backs. And they made a point of getting him out there and kind of seeing, because that's an important role that the punter has.
So a lot of talk that he was Bass was blaming the holding on the reason he missed the kickoff or missed the field goal against the Chiefs in the playoff.
I've noticed that, like, there was talk of this offseason that the Bills experienced some challenges with holding last year. Not just that game, but some other games. But I can't help but notice that the previous year they had the same holder. But for some reason, the guy did fine for a year, did good for a year, apparently, because Bass had a good season 2 years ago. And then didn't. And somehow that's the holder.
Mm-hmm.
It wasn't like they made a change at holder. It's not like they changed holding rules. He just suddenly forgot how to hold. Now, I understand what you're thinking. Well, did Bass forget how to kick? I think that's probably more likely.
Well,
Personally, I
during
think
the
that's
year,
more
we
likely.
saw Bass, especially at the end of the year, miss a number of extra points and field goals.
Yeah, I personally have been a
So
bit
I don't want to
critical.
hear the excuse about one
One game.
game. Yeah.
Well, I got it. I have been a little critical of Bass since
Mhm.
he'd been here, and I really did not think that they should have
Yeah,
extended him.
you've been down on him for a while.
Um,
I wasn't, but I'm catching up to you.
but so we'll see how this year goes. They did not bring in another kicker, right? They didn't. Is that right? Like they got two punters now
Well,
that
no,
have been invited to
this
camp.
punter can also kick,
Okay.
so he could dual. He could be a dual kicker. You could say to yourself, "Look, he can place kick. We don't know how good he is, but if he can place kick and punt, that gives you another spot for another defensive player, another wide receiver. You
I
know,
hear you, but like he was a punter in college and also did some kicks. They
hmm
had a place kicker
hmm
on his team. It was SDSU. They had a place kicker. He didn't beat that guy out.
hmm
He didn't do both roles.
yeah, and I don't
He
think
only did one of them at the major college level. So the idea that he's going to come in and be an NFL kicker as a rookie
yeah,
and he didn't do it at college,
I don't really think so either. I think we're going to see
he's on the staff
Bass.
though, and they could have him practicing it. And if they decide that there's an issue with Bass, maybe they give the guy a shot.
Yeah, I do think that's the guy out of all the free agents that I really believe is going to make the 53-man roster.
Okay.
Okay.
We didn't. Did we have any issue? It was is Martin right? Is the other punter?
hmm
Did we have any punting issues? I don't remember punting issues.
Yeah, they were
Right.
the year before he made some bad punts later in the year, and he wasn't getting some distance late in the year this
Well, that could
year.
be. That could have been like
You got to have a guy with a strong leg
he
that
might.
can go
No,
to that
no.
wind in Buffalo.
That's something that's true.
Maybe it's an age deal.
On television,
You
it
can't
can
tell
be
what the
very
weather's like.
difficult. Well, on television, it's hard to really judge hang time. And the special teams coordinator and the head coach, who's very involved with that, might be looking at it going, "We're looking for more hang time. We're looking for a little more hang time to help us with coverage or whatnot." And I wouldn't necessarily have picked that up from the television.
I gotta tell you, just another one of those wild conspiracy theories, but it's only a couple of years before the new stadium.
Mhm.
They may already have an idea what they think or how the stadium is going to react with the wind, being the way they made the roof and all this sort of thing. And they may starting to get players that they think are going to be able to play in that environment instead of waiting until the stadium opens. And they may be right, they might be wrong, but I'm just wondering, is it possible they could be thinking of players that are going to fit in that environment because it's only a couple of years away?
I think that's a very interesting thought. And I think that if you were in the Bills organization, that is something that you would bring up. I think these guys are not smart enough to think that far ahead. Yeah, I think they have no clue. Like, how many years did they have Hayden Poyer, and every
Mhm.
year people wondering, and they make it another year, and they never drafted a guy to pick. You know what I mean? Like,
Mhm.
they just. I don't think they have. I don't think they're that smart, really.
All right. Well, next week we got the regular team shows up on Tuesday,
Yes.
and hopefully we'll be on making a video for that, the start of the training camp.
Yeah. If
Maybe
not,
we'll start to hear some things or see some things
well,
already.
once training camp actually starts, we if we might find out. Like we were told that Spencer Brown is ready to go.
Mhm.
And if suddenly they pull him out and give him some rest days because
Well, they got a
he,
monster they can
you know,
put in here.
well, they got that,
Yeah.
but then that might be something that would spur us to do a video, even a short video.
Mhm.
They don't play a game for a couple of weeks, but did we ever hear? I had heard at one point that Brandon Bean was talking about maybe doing where two teams get together and practice together before their game.
I have not heard
I
this yet
haven't
that
heard
they set
anything
up
like that
right
either.
there.
Okay. Well, yeah, and I think we probably would have heard by now.
All right. Well, I got nothing else for
That was
today.
fun. Yeah,
This
that was
was
fun.
good. These are the new players, and by new players, we mean rookies and undrafted free agents. There are free agents that are new to this team. Maybe we can talk about
That's it.
that later. We do have something ready to
Oh,
go. We
sure.
might do that is my pre-camp 53-man roster. We'll see if we want to put that one up or not. We'll talk about that and then see how it actually goes. And by how it actually
Yeah.
goes, we mean training camp.
Right, yeah, right. If you're gonna make it to any of the training camp practices, congratulations. You won the ticket lottery, I guess. So congratulations on that.
If anybody's got any comments they'd like to leave us, please
Yeah.
do comment, subscribe, whatever else. What are the three? Subscribe, comment,
Tell a friend.
tell a friend, tell a friend,
Tell a friend.
tell a friend, buy the merch. No, we don't have any. But if we did, then we said
Starbucks, not a sponsor.
coffee cup, not a sponsor. All right.
That was fun. See you
All right.
guys. Go Bills.
Go Bills.